Okay, so this is my old age face chart, and I'm just gonna go over the things we're gonna try to do. You don't have to do all of these things, but this is kind of a list of the things you can do for old age with makeup that aren't too unrealistic. I have not done some things here, like oftentimes you'll see little wrinkles that come kind of out of this eye bag area, and I haven't done those. I'm trying to keep this more towards things that work really, really well that don't get into cartoony old age. Okay, so when thinking of our three-step approach, we've got our old age contour, which has that sort of downturn, creating this sort of sad triangle area, that big C shape, that darkened C shape in the eyes that comes into the eye bag. So that's a big kind of structural change. And then the jowl line. So that's this little triangle shape right here that you shade in that kind of gives you that jowl line. And then bigger wrinkles and shapes, you've got this extra contoured underneath here. These downturned corners of the mouth are gonna do a lot to make you feel old. They also give you this weird like little channel in here. This line here, the nasolabial fold, that's from your cheek kind of falling down and sagging. So that gets shaded up in that direction. We've got the brow furrow lines. You may or may not have these. Look to your elders in your family to see if that's something that you're gonna get. And forehead wrinkles. Forehead wrinkles are a place that I think people get a little too cartoony with old age makeup. They just kind of go a little overboard. So those should be really fine wrinkles. One of the things that's kind of nice to do, so normally when you're like doing eyeliner, you have this like wing that kind of comes up and out, and that sort of makes you look young. But if you downturn that a little bit before it goes back up, it'll look old. And the same with the crease line. If you kind of bring that line down a little bit as opposed to sort of flaring it up, that's gonna give you the impression that this fold of skin is coming down over the eyes. Few wrinkles on the lips, some extra contouring around the nose, anything I can do to just make my skin seem like it's sagging. So the big structural ones again are the old age contour line, the jowl line, the nasolabial line, the big C shape in the eyes. And then the finer lines and wrinkles are going to be around here, the crow's feet, the eye bag area, which is slightly a continuation of this, but making it look like it's actually like a saggy bag. These wrinkles here, these wrinkles here, these wrinkles on your lips, and a little bit extra contouring. Don't forget to do your neck. What you want to do is kind of make a face that make the veins and tendons pop out on your neck. Sorry, not veins, tendons. And figure out where that shading is really going to be. So I have like a dip right here, and then I have an asymmetrical. I have a tendon on one side of my neck that I don't have on the other side of my neck. Makes it look really creepy. And then some fine lines and wrinkles coming across there. Trace the ones you already have, and then just add a little bit of highlight and shadow to make those work. So, and then like the forehead contour is just regular. And then the other thing you want to add, like I talked about in the lesson, is that old skin gets kind of blotchy and spotty. I'm like firmly middle-aged, young side of middle-aged, I guess. And I am already starting to get, variations in my skin. And so to get some of that, you're going to use your stipple sponge, and I just kind of dashed it in the face chart to remind myself to do it. It's easy to make it show up in the face chart in stipple, so I just made these little like dots. And you're going to use your contour color, but also your highlight color, and maybe even some of your foundation color here and there. So you'd use shadow in the shadowy areas and maybe highlight in the lighter areas, so that you don't get rid of the contrast, but that you kind of break up the texture of your skin to give you that crepey old age feeling. So those three steps again are the big structural areas, fine lines and wrinkles. You can even have some here. These run around the lips. And then the texture, which is just done with that stipple sponge. So those are those three big areas you want to hit on. And that is your face chart. And you can color in both of your ears. I only did one because I forgot. So you're going to want to set up your workspace with the makeup that you need on a paper towel, so you keep your workspace nice and clean. You're going to want to make sure you have a makeup wipe, which I'm grabbing right now, so that you can clean your brushes and just have that on the ready so that you can wipe makeup off. I've got my foundation, I got my foundation brush, I've got an eye pencil, which I don't think I'll need, highlight, contour, cheek and lip color. I've used the bruise wheel. There's a couple colors I use, like the blue and the red in that. That powder brush I use to blend my foundation and for powder, which is right there. I use a stipple sponge to create the Old Age texture. That's some hair white that I'm going to use on my brows, and we are good to go. Start with your foundation, just like any other project. Don't y'all wish you could put on your foundation as fast as me? I'm like super quick. You can barely see me do it. I am amazing. Blend it out. I blend it out with that brush. There's nothing on that. I'm just using it to blend out my makeup. Okay, so remember we're starting stage one. We're going to start with the big C shape, the jowls, the nasolabial, and that Old Age contour. So I might use some of that blue color there, and I'm definitely going to use that brown contour color. It's very similar to the one in the bruise wheel. The one in the bruise wheel is a little redder, and we don't need help looking redder. That comes in right where your natural contour line would be, but then it just takes like a sad little turn. It's half a frowny face down. And this is all because that collagen that keeps your skin looking nice and fresh and young will eventually leave you for someone else, just like everyone else you love. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are great. And so the skin will start to sag without that collagen there. That little triangle is going to give you that little look of a jowl. And when I contour my jawline, I kind of make it a little extra curvy, sort of indicate that skin on my jaw has also maybe sagged a little bit too. So it's like on top of my jawline by the ear, and then it cuts under, and then back on top for the jowl. The C-shaped eye socket contour really sits in the socket of your eye. So just kind of feel for your eye where that hole is in your skull. And this is just indicating that this stuff has sort of sunk in a little bit. And it also indicates that the skin here has gotten really thin. And so you can see more of the blood vessels and less of the youthful, nice skin. We're actually going to add some blue to this in a bit to make it look a little bit more like your skin and less like crazy shaded. And I'm going to do the eye bag on a second level step. So I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm just giving myself a nice sunken look in the eye. And I want to make sure that they're pretty symmetrical. They don't have to be 100% perfect, but it doesn't. You don't want to look like you have two different eye sockets on your face. Go and do that nasolabial. Just make a little creepy smile like I'm doing there. And do your Joker audition, and you will be good to go. You don't want to get a crazy amount of product here, but you want to get enough that it's like a nice dark line. You're going to have this lovely place, just like when you did your contour, that you're going to look crazy. Here I'm cleaning off my brush on my makeup wipe, because now I'm going to use my brush to sort of pull this makeup around where I want it. And using the brush like this, it's going to look streaky, but that's okay. We can blend it out later. Notice how I'm blending the nasolabial fold up, and I'm leaving the bottom of the line really harsh, and that's what's going to make it look like a wrinkle. If I blend out both sides of the line, it's going to look like a smudgy line, like a smooth crevice, like a smooth valley, and I want it to look like there is an actual crease. And to look like an actual crease, I have to leave one side of the line sharp. Now, on my contour, on my cheekbone contour, there is no wrinkle line. It's just kind of saggy. So I'm going to blend this up, but I'm going to blend both sides of the line a little bit so that it's more about that. And I use my foundation brush to come back, and you can use your foundation pad to come back and sort of smooth that out. Yes, it looks very dramatic and crazy, but
You're going to put a lot of product on your face, so give it some time before you worry that your contrast is too high. It is key to control the amount of product though. You can very easily get too much makeup on your face. That's why I love having that makeup wipe down there. Starting to look old. Got some old cheeks going on. Blend out that C-shape eye socket. And this isn't eyeshadow. You know, this is not where you put your eyeshadow. This is on either side of your nose. Kind of blend it out in that C and a backward C. Your forehead contour is basically a normal forehead contour, so whatever you would normally do for your forehead, you can do that. I sink my temples a little bit, and I generally do make all my contour lines just a little bit darker to indicate that that youthful layer of fat is gone and it's just saggy skin. Your nose and ears never stop growing, by the way, so that's why it's also fun to contour your nose a little bit extra, to make your nose look a little bit extra. I think I even like contoured some bulbousness into my nose. I have a slightly crooked nose from a nose break when I was younger. I crashed into a set of skating mats nose first at a skating meet. Foundation brush does a wonderful job of kind of lifting product and smoothing it out without turning it all into a big blendy mess. And it's okay that it looks a little spotty. You actually don't want your makeup to look too smooth because that's not what old people look like. So there's that blue, that's a bluish black color, and I'm going to stick that into my eye sockets a little bit with the brown because the brown looks really, really red, and the blue is going to make it look thin and blue like you tend to look like when you're tired, which is the same kind of color you get when you're old. A little bit later in the video, I'm going to stick some red underneath my eye, which is another like old age thing that kind of happens. You could stop here. This could be your whole look, and this is just gonna, from stage, make you look sunken and older, but not like crazy witch level. This will definitely give you old age without getting too cartoony and theatrical. It gets a little more cartoony and theatrical the further I go into this tutorial. Look at my beautiful old face. Highlight is important. It helps concrete the look. The triangle highlight here, notice I'm putting that way lower than I did in my basic contouring because that's indicating that that high, puffy, young cheek has sagged down a little bit, so that goes lower, and it kind of creates this channel between your contour line and your nasolabial fold. And I highlighted my chin there as well. And I'm blending as I go now, and I'll continue to work back and forth in this video with highlight and shadow kind of at the same time. I'm switching brushes, I promise, and keeping my brushes clean. If you stick your highlight brush right in your shadow and keep doing that, you're gonna have a big muddy mess. Normal forehead contour. And it's important to do these basic big areas of contour first, because imagine what would happen if I did this forehead contour after I put the fine lines and wrinkles on my forehead. You can also stop here with the highlight. That's a good look. Now we're going to get into some level 2 finer lines and wrinkles. The first one I'm going to hit is the downturned corners of the mouth. And you can see just a touch of shadow right there, and I already look older. I went a little cartoony and heavy on the lip wrinkles. They're often toned down by putting a lip color over them, which I don't do in this video. But just kind of purse your lips and see if you've got any obvious wrinkles somewhere. If you don't, then I'd probably skip this step. Big fan of the blot to remove color as opposed to the smear. I had a little too much color there on my lips, so I blotted it away. Blot, blot. Do not smear. Those are some seriously pursed, judgmental lips. Okay, crow's feet are gonna come out from the corners of your eye, and I'm aiming down with mine. One of the things I'm trying to do with this tutorial is I'm trying to get it to look like the skin on the outside of my eyes has started to sag down into my eye, giving me a downturn effect. So I'm also gonna make a little downturn crease line from the crease in my eye. It'll go up again at the end, but it goes down first as opposed to sort of straight up. And that's gonna make it start to look like there's a fold of skin kind of falling over my eye. You can smile and see where your crow's feet are gonna be usually. If you're super youthful, you may not be able to see any yet, and you can just make them up. These do not have to be symmetrical, but they don't want to be crazily asymmetrical either. You could have a different number, but they should be about the same size and shape. So crow's feet and then that crease line. Just moving the product around to lighten it up a little bit. I definitely have a strong brow furrow. It's from all the judging I do. So I definitely put mine in, and mine's a little asymmetrical, and I think it's kind of cute. Like one is sort of bigger than the other. And I'm blending these. I'm leaving the line sharp towards the center of my face and blending them out. And I'm actually going to put highlight between them and on the other side of them, and that's going to make it look sort of like knobby little judgy lumps on my forehead. See the judgment? It's coming for you. Forehead wrinkles. This is where people go a little crazy. This should be a really, really light, fine line. Make sure you've got good control of your brush. Not a ton of product. The line comes and goes. It's just barely dancing across my forehead. Yep, that's okay. And you're going to blend that ever so subtly up. Those lines, so they should stay sharp at the bottom of the line and then blend it up just a tiny, tiny bit. Less than 1/4 of an inch, like 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch blended up. And we're going to meet them with some highlight later. Running my brush back very softly across the line smooths the brush strokes from blending it up. That's me. That's my look of old judgment. And I'm going to start and add in some more highlight. You can make this really cool little channel between your nasolabial fold and the downturned corners of your mouth that gives you a sort of frown of judgment to go with my brow of judgment. No shade on old people. I'm sure you're not all judgy. I just know that's what I'm going to look like when I get old. All right, so I'm going to try to do these bags here. So I'm going to start just by taking that C shape out a little bit. Not a ton of product here, just a nice, fine, crisp line. And I'm going to have another small little bag, maybe like 1/4 of an inch underneath my eye, maybe 3/16. And I'm going to blend that up just a tiny, tiny bit, that big eye bag on the bottom, so it's hard on the bottom line, and then I blend it up a little bit. Same thing on that other one. Now I've got highlight, and I'm going to put that right there above my shadow, and that's going to be a smooth line. And then I'm going to do a sharp highlight line right at the bottom of the bag, and that makes it look like it's a little crease, a little saggy eye bag. And I'm doing the same thing for the smaller little eye bag right underneath my eye. So I've got those double eye bags. Make sure you're checking this out as you go. Make sure it's looking the way you want it to look. This is why order matters. See, in doing that eye bag, I messed up one of my crow's feet, so I had to come back in and fix it. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the highlight for the crow's feet while I'm looking at that part of my face. So if you've got lines and wrinkles that cross other lines and wrinkles, you have to do kind of the big wrinkle first and then do the fine line wrinkle later, and try not to mess up one when you're doing the other. Picking up some highlight and doing the brow wrinkles on the forehead. So the highlight on the brow wrinkles is going to be a nice sharp little line that blends down. And this highlight here really helps make that bag look like it's sagging down over my eye from the crease line. So I'm highlighting right above that line where I had that shadow coming from my crease line, that sort of downturn line coming from my crease line. Who's that witch? I'm the witch. You still need cheek color, even when you're old. You still have blood vessels underneath there. So I'm putting my blush color on. You can put a lip color on here as well if you want. Really gently tapping it. I don't want to look like I'm wearing makeup, just like I have blood underneath my skin. And you notice when I put the blush on my cheeks, it's a little bit lower than it would be otherwise. And now I'm going to put that little bit of redness using the red from the Bruise Wheel right at my waterline, right underneath my waterline. Don't want to actually put it on your waterline. And that's going to give me that sort of irritated, super thin old age. All right, take your stipple sponge. Get a little bit of product, make sure it's not too much. And we're going to look at applying texture now. So start in the areas that are already dark. That way you can't mess up too badly. Make sure you've got very tiny amount of product. You don't really want this to look like it's there. The goal of this is to make it look like you haven't blended makeup prettily on your face. The goal of this is to make it look like you've got sort of old skin that isn't a consistent color. I'm going to use my contour color, my highlight color, and my foundation color. You could also use some red on the stipple sponge. Any number of colors to help balance out what's there and make it look just a little crepey. I got a little too much on my mouth there with the highlight. I'm using the highlight color now. I've got this hair mascara. You've got like a little bottle. This is just a little bit of hair white to do your brows. You don't have to do this, but it can add to the look. Here I'm picking up some shadow because I need to do my neck. And you want to make that little turkey neck face and sort of shadow in between. And I'm just kind of blobbing some color down. I'm going to grab my foundation brush in a minute, just right there, and blend it out nice and smooth. And you'll see what a difference this makes in just a minute. Even just the shadow, once that's all blended out. You're like, whoa, Tori, you got a crazy turkey neck. And I'm like, gobble, baby, gobble, baby, gobble, baby, gobble. Get a little highlight on there. These are big shapes, and we're going to do some fine lines and wrinkles across them in just a second. You should have those on your neck already, just from how your neck moves around. Little fine lines around about the middle of your neck. If you don't have them, don't worry about them. We all age differently. The lines don't have to be the same thickness. Let that line come and go. I'm blending it just up just a little bit. These look a little bit fake. I think when I come in and add the highlight, they look a little bit more realistic. This is the completion of your old age makeup tutorial. It's me looking fly and witchy. Tell your friends. Bye.